Hi, I'm Bonnie Krebs. Welcome to another watercolor stamping project. This project involves our watercolor arbor, and because we're going to leave it white, we're going to start with a little bit of a lighter color. Normally we start with the number 45 sepia, and this time we're going to start with the number 40. So I'm going to ink the back using a number 40 and just color the whole back of this stamp. This project takes a little bit longer, but it's kind of fun to have a little bit more of a challenge too. Although it's just as easy. It's the same technique, it's just stamping and adding water with the damp brush. Now I'm going to stamp it on my watercolor paper. Like so. I'm going to take my brush and water, and I'm going to pinch off the excess water because I don't want too much water on here. And I'm just going to pull the color out of the lines. Just follow the lines. And don't worry if you don't get every line on there evenly, it's okay. Okay, once that's done, I'm going to take my masking fluid. This is a mask pen, and what this is it's kind of like liquid skin, and it's going to protect our areas where we want to color in some flowers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some foliage back in here and some greenery, but I want to protect the areas where I'm going to brush in my flowers. So I'm going to just dab this on, just dots, wherever I think I might want to put a flower. And this is going to protect the white areas of my canvas. This will keep these areas white so that we can brush in the flowers later. So wherever you think you want to put some flowers, don't be afraid to go way outside the lines. Now that's finished. We're going to have to let that dry, and this masking fluid will change color and become more translucent, so you'll be able to tell when it's dry. It'll be dry to your touch, so you want to make sure that this is completely dry before you move on to the next step. It's been about 15 minutes, and you can see now that our liquid mask is dry. It's dry to the touch, it's not sticky at all, and you can see it's changed color a little bit. So about 15 minutes is what it takes. And you can dry it, you can hurry it up a little bit by using a blow dryer, but make sure you use it on use no heat. You just use the cool blower, and that'll speed things along. Okay, we're going to move on to the next step, and I'm going to color in some green back behind here now that my white areas are protected, and I'm going to do that from my palette. So I'm going to start with the number 15 green. And I'm going to color right on my palette with this marker. Get some color on here. And I'm going to add water to it. And I'm just going to brush the green on behind here. Wherever I think I'm going to have some foliage or some vines or some leaves, I'm going to brush this color on. That gives us a little bit more depth. And we're going to be stamping over the top of this. So it doesn't really matter how you brush this in. Don't worry about getting it a certain way. Just get the color back in here. And I'm not coloring every area. You can see this masking fluid is protecting my paper from this ink, which is what we want it to do. So I can brush right over the top, and I can stamp over the top as well. I'm going to have grass down under here, so I want to make sure I get enough green under here. Now I'm going to clean my brush off, and I'm going to use a number 86 on my palette. And I'm going to add some water, and I'm going to just use a little bit of ink because I want this to be light, and I'm going to brush in the sky color. Now I also have some water in here, and so I'm going to use the same color, just a little bit darker, and I'm going to brush in the water. I'm just going to use a straight, even stroke. Just back and forth. This is really easy to do. Now I'm going to go back in with my green again, and I'm going to brush in this little green patch back in here. This again is a number 45, or excuse me, number 15 green. Just lightly brush this in. Okay, so now we have our sky, our grassy area, and our foliage all blocked in. Okay, now before you move on to the next step, make sure this is dry. This dries pretty quickly, but before we stamp on this, we want to make sure that this is completely dry and it's dry to the touch. So now I'm going to ink my vine. This is our watercolor vine, and I'm going to use the number 15 again. And I'm going to ink the back of this stamp. And I'm just going to stamp it wherever I want it to grow. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. It's just wherever you want to add this foliage. The neat thing about using a stamp is that you can ink just small areas and add just a few little leaves, or you can ink the whole vine. That's what makes this look doesn't look like a rubber stamp, because we're inking different parts of it. We're not just inking the same image over and over. Get some underneath here, because these vines are going to grow underneath the arbor. Down under here. Now again, I'm going to take my brush, and I'm going to pinch off the extra, and I'm just going to dab at this foliage. You don't want to get too much water on here, but we just want to soften these leaves up. This is what gives it that watercolor look. Just going to keep softening this up. You can see I'm not using very much water. I haven't dipped my brush. I just want to get a little bit of water on here. I don't want this to be too wet, because we don't want to lose our lines. We just want to soften them up. That's why I always pinch off the water before I start brushing this on. Pick my brush again. Okay, that looks pretty good. You can see how this is starting to come together now. Now I'm going to use a different leaf. This is a grape leaf, because we're going to hang some grapes in this arbor. We're going to use this grape leaf, and I'm going to use a different color. I'm going to use a darker green now for a little contrast, and I'm just going to ink the back of this and just stamp this in this arbor. Kind of coming off the top, maybe down in here, wherever we want to put it. And again, you can use just small parts of the stamp, or you can use the whole thing. And I've got those on there. Just going to add my damp brush. This is so much fun, and it's fun because it's not stressful. You don't have to worry about where to put things, because these things are all made to go together. So whatever pot or container you use, or whatever foliage you use, they're all interchangeable. They're all made to work together.